All right. So we are live again, and hopefully people come back in because I don't know why I keep losing internet. I'm actually hardwired in, so we'll see. If not, it will have to continue. All right. So while people are coming back, welcome back, number one. So I don't know why this keeps happening. I'm hardwired in. But yeah, like the fraud and the fake credit cards, as I was starting to say before we lost connection, there was someone who figured out how to manipulate GameStop's rewards program, and he had no qualm. like he would come in and like request redemptions of like $100 gift cards and things like that, and it was terrible. While we're waiting for everyone to come back, I'll jump to a new question. Katie from Twitter asked, in case I missed it, best customer story, parentheses, worst customer interaction. That can go multiple times over. Welcome back, guys. Sorry for the technical stuff. Probably as far as the worst customer interaction goes, there any amount of like customers as far as like people like trying to get their way. Hey, welcome back, Abia. As far as the worst customer interaction goes, the one that comes to mind as far as it doesn't concern fraud or angry customers or negligent customers and so forth, actually involved a baby. And the baby was adorable. It was the Christmas season, and I believe this was at my Tinley location. And at the time, the PSP was the Sony's main gig that they were, advertising and so forth. And we had this bin of UMD movies, brand new UMD movies, dump bin basically. And I was sitting here, and the dump bin was here, and there was a gentleman holding his little baby daughter or baby boy, like this, and talking. And as we were talking and so forth, the little baby kind of looked down at the bin, and I was about to make a joke about how, she like the little baby wants a movie, like there's a SpongeBob movie in there. And before I could say, she probably wants a SpongeBob movie, UMD, this baby just starts throwing up all over the UMDs, all over the display, over her dad. I thankfully Matrix dodged out of the way. And this poor baby just threw up everything it had ever eaten, like in a month. Obviously the dad apologized. It was all cool. Like, that's what babies do. And the problem is that it was product. And thankfully it happened at a point where like no one else around saw. So being a retail corporate manager who can't lose product to shrink, while the dad was taking care of the baby, we basically took all the UMD, we cleaned off all the puke real quickly from the UMDs, took the UMDs into the back, and with like bleach and Windex and Fantastic, we basically hand cleaned off all the brand new sealed UMD movies. And once we figured out what we could put to use as a dump bin, we put them back out for sale, and we sold through the entire box. So somewhere, and this is not a hope or a prayer, but a little tee-hee, somewhere right now, I know there is a VGA graded UMD movie shrink wrap that got like a 95%, and it has baby puke cleaned off of it. Oh, it was like straight out of the parody movie that was parodying Exorcist, where they basically have like a hose coming out of her mouth shooting the water. It was fantastic. Welcome back, guys. Like I said, I don't know what happened, why the stream canceled out. But yeah. Yeah, welcome back to baby puke on UMDs. That's fantastic. But yeah, oh man. And then as far as other worst interactions, there was one, I wouldn't call it a worst interaction. I would call it more of a curious interaction. Back at Microplay, the PlayStation 1 had like really started to take off. And we had a family come in, and I'm agnostic. I mean, like, I don't care like what religion you are, blah blah blah, as long as you treat everyone nice and don't don't hold off, don't take away other people's rights, what have you, because of what you believe in, blah blah. But this family came in, and they were dressed really nice, and I was like, hey guys, what's going on, blah blah. And basically they had just come from church, and they were treating their son to a video game, because I think he did like well in school or something like that. I'm like, okay, cool. So the kid's looking through the sports games, because he was a big football, baseball guy, and the father looks over and just goes, "Oh, that's disgusting." And I'm like, "Oh God, like did I leave like a Mortal Kombat out? Like is like Killer Instinct on the TV? What's wrong?" And he goes, how could anyone play a game that raided tombs? Like, that's sacrilegious. And I was like, what do you? And I realized he was looking at Tomb Raider. And I was like, I don't think that means what you think it means. Have you seen Indiana Jones? And I was trying to like explain to him like how it was okay. It wasn't like taking the Lord's name in vain. Hey, what's up, PSX? What's up, Streffa? And I went back to the son to like let him play I think it was MLB or whatever, to check it out. And then he was playing on MLB. I took that out. I threw an Ace Combat, I want to say 1 to try, so it's Air Combat. And I threw an Air Combat, and I walked away to help another customer. And while I'm helping the other customer, I hear the dad again go, "Oh, we're not buying this game. They took the Lord's name in vain." And I went, "There's no religion in Air Combat. What are you talking about?" So I finished up with the customer, and I walked back to the demo unit. And in air, if you've never played Air Combat, if you fire a missile and it just misses the plane, like it's within your circle and it goes wide, the co-pilot goes, "We just missed." And the dad was interpreting it as, "Jesus, we missed." And he was getting all up in arms. And I was like, no, just, it's going to be okay. Another favorite customer interaction, I should say, I wouldn't say worst, but favorite, was when parents had 2 little kids. I mean little, like they were like 5 and 6, and they refused to buy Spyro the Dragon 1 for PlayStation 1 for their 5 or 6-year-old, because they thought it was too violent with the way Spyro set the sheep on fire, etc., with this flame thing. And they're like, "That's cool, cool, whatever, blah blah." And just as they were leaving, and this is going to date me, how far back I was working in retail, I heard them say, "Come on, guys, we're going to be late for Starship Troopers." And I couldn't catch myself, and I just yelled out, "Oh, hell no!" And the parents turned around. They're like, what's wrong? And I go, "Do you know what's in Starship Troopers?" And they were like, "Well, isn't it just them fighting bugs?" And I was like, "Yeah, and a shower scene and profanity." And the dad's response was like, "Oh, we thought it was just like G.I. Joe." They weren't going to buy the E-rated Spyro the Dragon, but they were going to take their children to see Starship Troopers. Oh my God, like, it's ridiculous. It's absolutely insane. Hybrid. Any good stories about fake games? Yes and no. Not so much from trading in at GameStop, just because with my graphic design background, I'm in an advantage where like I can tell the DPI, and for those of you who don't speak design, DPI is dots per inch. So like would be a good example. So like on a video game, let me get the manual out of here. So on anything that's printed, there's actually 4 colors here. There's black, blue, yellow, and red. That the 4 colors create all of these colors and so forth. And on really, really fancy printers, you can't tell that it's essentially dots that are making up the image. In the older days, you could spot fakes because they were clearly like laser jetted or dust jetted print labels, and you'd be able to see that spot. Like it would look like that classic painting of the people in the park, like from Ferris Bueller's Day Off. So you'd occasionally have people trading, like you could tell they were fakes from like Swaparama or whatever. However, that being said, as a customer at a Hollywood Video, I got the biggest kick out of seeing this. It was a Game Boy, I want to say a Game Boy Color game with a fake label, and the fake label was Shaquille O'Neal again from Shaq Fu. They were doing the whole thing, but instead of Shaq Fu, it said Muhammad Ali. And I was just like, no, guys, you come on. Come on. Even if you're not a sports person, like I am not a sports person, you know that ain't Ali. And they end up pulling out the Game Boy Color, and it was some, I think it was best of the best. It was like a ROM hack or something like that. They ended up taking out of the case and binning it. But it was just so funny seeing Shaquille O'Neal with Muhammad Ali on the cover. Strefx, I finally got some PlayStation Underground magazine discs. I need 4 more to have a complete set. Hot damn, go you. Side tangent, the magazine collection was probably one of the best, funnest things I did in the early days of my collecting. I loved just seeing the full set, and then doing the custom CD cases was one of the favorite things I ever did. Let's see, magenta. Ladies and gentlemen, Mrs. Game Rave is in the house. That's Rebecca Landing. That's Mrs. Game Rave right there. My enabler, my player 2. You come into my house. Oh, say hi, everybody. All right. So the feed actually got cut, so obviously we're all back. The last thing I saw was someone making a comment about Best Buy, like $1,500, $1,800, either stolen goods or fake credit cards. So if you guys had a question, I missed it, ask it again. Otherwise, next up from our social media stuff, Jeff Smith, how much of your soul was chipped away by your job over the years? That is an easy answer. I joked that I was going to have, I was going to write a book, and it was going to be called "Working Retail: How I Never Killed a Soul but Lost My Own in the Process." I kind of wish I'd go back and try and write that. I'm terrible when it comes to writing. If you've ever watched Game Rave TV, you know what's funny is if you combine, I think we figured this out mathematically. I think I did like something between like 15 to 18 years of gaming retail, between EB's, GameStops, and the Family Game Store. What was so weird was we used to have the joke at the Tinley store that this job would be phenomenal if it weren't for corporate or the customers. In all hindsight, in all honesty, there was never really a time when I felt like I was losing my soul because of corporate or because of the customers. There were a select few times where their stupidity drove me around the bend, but I never lost the faith, if you will. Like probably one of the worst moments I had to deal with, as far as hanging on to my soul and conscience, was essentially going against our corporate orders, and this is going back years. GameStop was originally going to try and get into the streaming service or the digital download service. I think it was digital downloads. Like GameStop was trying to take on Steam at the time. And I don't know if it was a Steam code or another site's code, but essentially there was a PC game release where we were told to remove an ad that gave you a digital download copy of it aside from the normal physical copy, because I don't think the physical copy needed a protection unit, and we are going to give a GameStop download code with it. And this all that crap hit the fan. I had people coming in from blogs like demanding to like interview us and like, well, did you do it? Did you go through with it? You know that's and I was like, dude, guys, like it's not our call. Like we like paying our mortgages. Like, you know, just chill, all right? There was one time where I didn't lose my soul, but I did break down and cry for about a good 5 to 10 minute span. I want to say it was during Christmas era. I was at Orland Mall, and I was just having I was on the opening shift, and it was still like a half hour before we even opened. And the phone rang, and now most stores will not answer the phone until it's open hours for a reason. I answered the phone just because that way it's one less phone call I have to deal with at opening time. And I answered the phone, and this woman for no, I like, it's so far out of my mind, I couldn't even tell you what the phone call was about, but she tore into me so hard for something so stupid that when I hung up the phone, I literally just crumbled. I fell behind the counter and I just cried. I had to get up because I was so stressed. And let me tell you, for all the used car salesman vibes you get from employees at various stores, you've never gotten the used car salesman vibe from someone who is trying to hide the fact that he now has like bags under his eyes from crying so hard for 5 minutes. That was a real rough day. My boss John at the mall during the one Christmas, he lost his soul. We were going on. It was our busiest day before Christmas, and we were getting slammed. And by I mean slammed, I mean like the line, like the way the store was laid out when you first walked in, the counter was here. The line was wrapped all the way around all three walls of the store back out. And he was just, the corporate was being stupid. We were having issues with credit card machines. Like, people are being stupid, blah, blah. And after his, like, on his 10th hour of being there, I was going on my 12th or 13th just because we were so busy. He asked me to stay over and approve the overtime. We finally hit a lull. Like, we finally hit a lull. There was no line. The few customers that were in the store were all just doing their own thing, looking around. And to this, I will take it to my grave. My boss just opens up the computer, looks at how many hours he's worked for the week, closes the employee app, looks at me and just goes, I'm just gonna go out and enjoy something. And he just walks out of the store. We are on the second floor of a mall, next to the kids' play area. So as he is saying this and just walking out into the morning light, because it was Black Friday, now I think about it, like the morning rays were coming through the sunroof of Orland Mall. So this guy, just dejected, just starts slowly walking into these beautiful sun rays coming from the sunlights as the merry-go-round music from the first level merry-go-round is playing. And it was the most surreal, soul-crushing thing I've ever seen in my life. I mean, we laugh now, but man, I felt so bad. I thought he was just going to go get a beer and never come back. Oh man, let's check the feed here. $1,500, $800 amount of Switch games were stolen within a week and a half. Holy crap. Found that out by an employee when asked about why the Switch games were behind glass. Holy crap. They somehow bypassed the security small cases without setting them up. That's interesting. Speaking of theft, our worst theft, going back to the previous question, the worst theft we ever witnessed was a tie between my Maryland EB game store on the third floor of, was it third floor? Second floor. Second floor of White Marsh Mall, and then Chicago Ridge Mall with the Game Boy Color games. Way back in the day, EB Games would put the cartridge games live on the floor unless there was like a crazy expensive game. And what they would do is, I actually mentioned this in one of the other videos, is it was basically a cardboard case. Like, imagine like you know how like when you pull out an N64 game or like a Game Boy cartridge game, it'd have that cardboard box that the cartridge is sitting in. EB Games had their own version of that, but with no outer box. So once you put the cartridge in, we would just shrink wrap and put the price tag on. And I was working with my manager actually both days I was working with my manager. In Maryland, we had a rack that was one of the mini ones in the middle of the store, and we had just filled it with all the N64 games, blah, blah. And like 3 or 4 hours pass, and my manager's helping the customer. He goes, oh yeah, we should have it in stock. And they go check. And he goes over and he sees like half the rack missing. He just goes, oh, well, we probably don't have it. So we shrunk it all out. In the Chicago one, we had floor to ceiling, I think it was like 5 or 6 cases wide. Up the top was our used Game Boy and Game Boy Color games. And my manager and I were working. I was helping a customer on the floor. He was helping somebody else, blah, blah. We go back to whatever we were doing, and I hear him just go, ah, crap. And I go, what? And I look over. The entire wall was gone. Every Game Boy game, every Game Boy Color game, every cardboard box, they were gone. It was literally blank slat wall. In trade-in value, we probably lost, I'd say, probably about $50 worth of games. In actual retail price, we probably lost about $400 to $500 worth of Game Boy games, and it sucked. It was terrible. I've had people like ask me to see if I have something in the back, and I'll open the back door and just look. And as I turn back around to say no with the door still open, I can see them trying to get into the glass case behind the counter. Like, just, it should be mandatory that every person on Earth has to work at least 2 years in retail just to understand what the majority of humanity is really like. Like, it was so bad. Let's see. Best Buy, fail less. Oh, Matt Mateo. Chat people. M4730 is my buddy Matt, my third key from Tinley. So fail less is a phenomenal story, and a bit of personal triumph for him, if you will. So one day at Tinley, I was organizing one of the shelves. I think it was PS3 or 360, maybe original Xbox. I don't remember. Maybe Wii. And I had taken off all the shelves, organized all the games, alphabetized them, and I was already having a bad day that day. I couldn't tell you what else I screwed up that day. But I started putting the racks back in, and I got to the bottom rack, and I realized too late that I had put the racks like one slot too far off. So by the time you got there, there was no room for the bottom rack. And I just went, damn it. And I explained what I did. And Matt comes over and goes, give me your lanyard. And I went, what? He goes, give me your lanyard. So I gave him my name tag. And he walks away, and I'm like, all right, whatever, what's going on? And I go to finally fix everything, and he comes back and hands me my lanyard, and I flip it over, and there's just 2 stickers created by our barcode machine that just says fail less. And I wore that like a badge of honor as far as I could. Oh, my God. What is going on, Matt? I miss you, you bastard. Oh. All right. Let's see here. Another question from social media. 2 different people, Michael Murphy and Jason King, both asked this, which was, y'all got that live? This was a running joke, especially during my high score microplay days, where no one came in asking for NBA Live, insert year here. It was always just, y'all got that live. And one day I got so sick of it, someone came in and said, y'all got that live? And I was like, what do you mean? He goes, live, man, live. I need live. And I was like, nah, I got Xbox Live. Like, is that what you mean? And he just goes, NBA Live 2001 or whatever it was. And I just started cracking. I'm like, cool. There you go, man. It's all good. Which now reminds me to another story. So at High Score Microplay, one of my coworkers who ended up being one of my editors on Game Rave as a fanzine, and while you can tell it's humid out because my hair is doing the crazy thing, my friend Courtney. My friend Courtney was, I'm 6 foot, so Courtney was probably like 4'5", 5 foot, African American, bald, no qualms about sexuality. He was a hot little dude. Like he was gorgeous. But what made Courtney hysterical was that Courtney, for his height, had the deepest voice you've ever heard, like original Shaft deep voice, just like, well, hello, how's it going? And one day we were talking back and forth, just this is going back to y'all got that live. We had this in the way the store was laid out is I was on this side and he was on this side. The glass counters formed like a U shape, so we were like on opposite sides of the store, and there was no one in the store. And one day while we were cleaning and organizing, we decided to have, for lack of a better term, a racist off. And the way we had the racist off is we had to figure out, I shouldn't say racist, a stereotype. Like, what was the worst stereotype that different customer races had? And one of the first ones that we came up with was that, like, how Mexican families can't shop alone. There's always like in 2s or 3s and so forth. I cracked the joke about how like white people can't shop in non-suburban stores and so forth. But and this kept going on. We were just laughing our ass off. And the one that came up, and you have to remember, Courtney is African American. And I go, Courtney, I got one for you. And he goes, what? And I go, how come your people can't finish one syllable words? He's like, what? And I go, N64. I need an N64 game. I need that Mario Kart, whatever. And he starts dying. I start dying. Scout's honor on a stack of variants. I had no sooner made that joke, and an African-American couple come in, and Courtney goes, hey guys, what's going on? And the guy goes, do you have any N64 controllers? And Courtney dies. Courtney just drops by the counter. And I was like, I got you, got taken care of, guys. Like, what color you need? Color purple? Clear purple? What's up? Oh my God, that was so funny. Which, now thinking about it, another story. Game names were always a problem with customers. I've had people ask for Presidential Evil, Residential Evil, Twisted Hill, Crushed Metal. Matt, jump in anytime with these guys. MBM Jam. My favorite was Sweet Coden. People just come in and go, yeah, you got that Suki Dookie Din? Or my one favorite was, he just goes, do you have that S game? Yes, got that Roman numerals. Do you guys have that Grand Theft Auto I? Do you have what was the one? Almost the entire game was all Roman numerals. What was it? Oh, someone came in asking if we had FFXII. Oh, Final Fantasy 12. God, what else was there? There was there was a really no bad things on her. There was this adorable grandma that came in asking if we had the X80X system. And I was like, X80X? I kind of did one of these to look up and think about what she was talking about. And so I looked up, I'm like, oh, she means Xbox. The font on the original Xbox boxes was not really well done. It looked like X80X. It was pretty funny. God, what else was there? Matt, you gotta help me out, dude. Seriously, like, there were so many of them. There was a PlayStation 2 game or an Xbox One game at Tinley that always got the wrong word. Like, what was it? It wasn't Final Fantasy. This is gonna drive me insane. Oh, there was also Halo ODST. ODST? Oh, you mean Halo ODST, Orbital Dropship Trooper. Shock Trooper. Great. Awesome Burf. I heard someone ask for FF12 like that, but LOL, had a hard time holding in my laughter. Rolf, welcome to the group. When I worked at GameStop from December 2005 to 2007, my favorite were the black guys coming in asking for a P3. Yes! Yeah, or like just saying 64 instead of Nintendo 64. My ASM and I would always respond, that's awesome. That's hilarious. Yes, good call. Hybrid 13 on the that would work too. The XSII. Oh, there was something else with Halo ODST. There was another one. It was an abbreviation. No, side tangent. Oh my God, this drove me. If there was ever a moment that came close to just stealing my soul, it was the time 5 grown adults in a row asked for Grand Theft Auto 5. And I said, just so you know, if this is for a child, there is full-on nudity and sexual content. And all 5 people in a row said, that's okay. We'll just turn the volume down. They have children. I know they understand how nudity works. That I was so done that day. Oh man. Bossum Burf, favorite console launch while working retail. You know, I was there for a lot of them. I started working at EB. I think when the GameCube launched, I was either at them already or it had already been out, and that's when I finally bought my own. I think the most fun one was definitely when we had our Matt, Rob, and me team over at Tinley. Was for the The Wii launch was fun. Back when we still had Bill. Um, the Wii launch was fun just because, like, because it was more family focused. You didn't really have all the bros like coming in for their like first person shooter Halo launches or Call of Duty launch and so forth. The Wii was cool just because it was an actual new experience with the motion controls, and if you could ignore all the stupid Ubisoft like imagine babies and imagine pets and imagine that and whatever, the vibe was just really cool. And like the Wii was just fun because everyone like was like trying to figure out like how could they do this, how could they do that. There was so much more positive banter and I can't think of the word right now, and talking and not conspiracy theory, like imagining what the potential could be for the games. Like just the Wii came out when I was in college, in my last year of college, and I almost failed college because I had Legend of Zelda and Excite Truck and Wii Sports on my Wii, and that's all I did. Like before I ever started doing YouTube streaming and videos, and Game Rave was just like my like I'll just post stuff whenever hobby on the site. Like Becky and I would have like just these crazy tournaments in Wii Sports and Excite Truck. I 100%ed across the board, like literally, figuratively. There was nothing left to unlock. Like, oh my god, I loved it. Like there was so much potential those days, and especially in terms of when the Wii, after the Wii had launched and the trickling in of like the restocks and so forth would come in, the people buying them, even the scalpers, even the people that you knew were scalpers, they were all great about it. Like one of my favorite memories was we were opening one day. I don't know if it wasn't a Black Friday. It was basically just a restock of the Wii. I had actually made in Photoshop all these cool little tickets for people to hold and like checklist sheets so they can just say, hey, this is what I need, go do it. And everyone, it was a super, super cold, wintry day that day. And all these parents were outside trying to get it for their kids for their Christmas gift. And I just said, hey guys, just to give you a heads up, if you guys can line up in single file, we'll get you in and out, home to one, blah, blah. It'll all be perfect. And one of the dads out of nowhere just said, you heard the man, line up. And I watched 20 plus adults like a freaking cartoonist go straight line. Like I could have used them as a razor blade straight line. We got those folks in and out in an hour tops. We sold through all of our hardware, all of our games. Everyone was laughing, having a good time, taking recommendations and so forth. That was probably like my favorite hardware launch. Like it was just so much fun. My least favorite was probably the PlayStation 3 because that was nothing but just ego and scalpers and busted hardware. And Matt can attest to this. When we got the PlayStation 3 kiosk in, we were like, hey, let's check out that backwards compatibility and stuff. And like it was awful. Tekken looked like a Lego game before Lego games looked cool. I remember Gundam didn't play correctly. Like it was awful. Then it turned out like it was like an old firmware that had to be updated, blah blah. But like that whole launch, like we only got like 5 PS3s in it, I think, on launch day. Like it was awful. It was terrible. All the games are just rehashes of the 360 games. People are getting attitudes because Blu-ray or whatever. Like it was just oh. I don't remember. I also don't remember the PlayStation 4 launch. I don't remember the Xbox One launch was decent. I think most people were worried about the hardware failures and nothing else. We didn't really have any hardcore problems there, but Wii was definitely the best one. Like definitely the most fun. Even the Nintendo 3DS when I was at the Orland Mall, that was a really fun one too, just because everyone was checking out the cool little like the pedometer inside the 3DS, the currency coins you could earn in the games. Like everyone was having a real good time. I actually used the 3DS as a pedometer to earn coins like almost every day I worked at the mall, and I got a lot of coins. And getting all the Street Pass characters and so forth. Like Nintendo launches are always just so much fun. Like I don't know what it is, but yeah, they're definitely the best one. Let's see here. Kabia had plenty of stupid questions and other stuff when you work on cars too. I'm sure some of them came from me. No worries there. Welcome Magattack Body. God bless America. Rolf, do y'all have that Scrim game? Yep, Scrim. Oh my God. There was another game that came around. It wasn't Fable. It was another RPG. A Scrim. I had these written down, and I literally had these written down in a notebook somewhere. I'll have to find it because I was mapping out the whole retail book one night, and it's gonna drive me nuts. Matt will love this. I've told this story 1,000 times. As far as game names go, when I was working at High Score Microplay, someone called and said, "Hey guys, do you buy back PlayStation games?" And I said, "Yeah." And he goes, "What are you giving for Taken 2 and Star Wars Rebate?" And I went, "Can you repeat that one more time?" And he goes, "Taken 2 and Star Wars Rebate." And I went, "Hold please, let me check." And I put down the phone and I got out my stupid English translator. We didn't have, Google at the time, so it was an actual physical book. And I went, "Do you mean Tekken 2 and Star Wars Rebel Assault 2? Yeah, that's what I mean. They're this much. Thanks." Click. Star Wars Rebate. It's where Darth Vader kills off all the Jedi because they didn't use coupons. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Sally didn't want a PS3 until 2015. Cabia, you know what? The only reason we got a PS3 when we did was because of the backwards compatibility. And when we bought ours used, it actually died in us. And I actually had a friend send me a refurbished PS3 that we lovingly used and took care of until the house got burglarized and it got stolen. As far as modern games go, or modern systems go, like I still haven't bought an Xbox One, and I honestly don't think I ever will. Like maybe when it hits the $50 mark, I can buy it so I can finally play Andromeda on the last system I need to play it on. But yeah, it's weird not wanting a system. Like for a period of time, I had every system that came out of every generation, and then started selling them all off and so forth. But this will be the first generation where I actually don't buy one of the systems. I still feel kind of bad about buying the Switch. I mean, like we played the hell out of Bomberman and Zelda, and then everything else is on PlayStation 4. Rolf, I loved my 20 gig PS3. Yeah, like the 60 gig was something special. Paid $5 for it, secondhand in April 2008. Sadly bit the dust in spring 20. That lasted a decent long time. Yeah, like. Oh, I was so disappointed with like all the failure rates of the PS3s and the Xbox 360s at the time. Let's see. Next question from social media. This is from Digital Masterpieces. Confession time. Have you ever stashed away some limited quantity game to purchase for your own collection, or is that straight up illegal? Matt can attest to this. Not really illegal. It was like we didn't really hide anything per se. Like if someone traded something in and an employee wanted it, we would just say, "Hey, I want this. Put it in the whole drawer, and I'll pick it up next paycheck or next day or whatever." Blah blah. In fact, that's basically how I got my Sonic the Hedgehog limited edition demo on the Dreamcast. That was the Hollywood video exclusive. One of our regulars back in Maryland came in. He was trading all the Dreamcast stuff to upgrade to, I think, a PS2 at the time. Maybe an Xbox 360. And I got to the games and I spotted Sonic and I went, "Oh, cool." Did the trade in and put it right to the side, finished everything up, got the guy what he wanted, took care of him, all good. Turned to my manager and said, "You can ring me up for this right now. I want it." He's like, "Why would you want a demo?" And I went, "Trust me." And this was before it was like the super rare, oh my God, I got to have it thing it was. It was just like I know I will never see this again. And it was in complete condition with everything. There have been a couple collector's editions. Like I have the Two Worlds limited edition for Xbox 360 that had the fan disc, so you could create your own website. I literally bought that collector's box set for $1 just so I wouldn't have to gut it and put it in the drawer. And I still have it. I think it's in my eBay pile to get rid of with a bunch of other like cheapy games. But there are a few like limited editions that I bought just so I didn't have to process them. Oh my god. Let's see. Oh, the God Bless America comment was in reference to people turning down the volume to avoid nudity. Yeah. Yeah. Oh. Let's see. I can understand. KB, I can understand. It got 3 Xbox Ones, about 10 terabyte external hard drives. Can't think of convincing someone who doesn't want one. We'll wait for part ones count as well. Rolf, everything I want to play on the Orbis and Durango, I can get on PS3, 360, or GOG, minus Shenmue 3 and the Sony first-party games. That's true. It's kind of like why I'm not that hyped about Stadia. Like, it's basically just an extension of PC gaming, but, you know, with their hardware and not, you know, your Alienware or what have you. Like that, I actually bring up the Stadia in the next episode of Game Rave TV, but we'll leave that for what it is. It was just like, I don't know, like, I'm kind of scared where gaming is going. Like, I feel weird. Like, my PS4 probably has the smallest library I've ever had with a current gen system. Like I said, I take that back. The Switch has this because it's only got 2. But as far as systems I regularly play, like, I've gotten to the point now where, like, I don't like. There are games I want to play that are almost always $9, like marked down from $50 on the PlayStation Store, and I can't bring myself to spend the $9 to buy it because I know I'll either never get to it or like it'll just sit there. Like, the whole era of buying out of curiosity in the current gen is more or less done with. Like, unless it's like $1 or $2 or like a $5 discount bin that I know it's something I can finish in a day or two, like, it's over. That's why I love having all these guys, because like I can just go to the wall and be like, hot damn, I never played this 20 years ago, let's do it. And I know that there's like no online achievements or there's no, you know, updates or whatever. I can just play it and enjoy it and get the review out. Let's see here. Hello, Captain. PS1 for life. Of course. I'm pretty much to the grave. Pretty much. Matt, wish I could stick around longer. Gotta go for a bit, but if you're still on, I'll drop back in. Oh, that's awesome, dude. Take care. Have a great day. Good talking to you again. You need to get that Zelda video back up so I can link it to people if it's not up, like if it's on your channel. Matt and I were at one point going to try and do a sort of combo stream YouTube channel that kind of fell through the cracks about kind of playing horse in video games. And oh shit, link it, dude. Throw in the link. That video was amazing. Matt did this amazing I guess retrospective, what you call it, Zelda video from a few years ago, and it was just, the editing was so well done. But his concept that we were going to do was basically play horse but video games. And one of the challenges in our pilot episode trial was to get through Contra's first level without firing a shot until you got to the boss. And then in Mario 64, we had to, like, you know, grab a star without dying or out falling off. And it was so much fun, but it just kind of fell through the way. No, KB, well, I have nieces and nephews to help with that part of games that I never get to. I was like, nieces and nephews, what? Oh man, so many good things. Let's see, what else is there? Other limited quantity games. Like, as far the problem with limited quantity games, as far as stashed away, is one of my biggest complaints about people that were always anti-GameStop was during the whole anti-pre-order thing. Like, all these people were making all these crazy beliefs and statements about how, like, if you pre-order a game, it's just going to make the game worse because it's rushing the developers and yada, yada, yada. And, like, that couldn't be further from the truth. Like, all a pre-order did was let a game store know what they should order to arrive on launch day. And with limited editions, like, we were in the same boat that customers were. Like, if we didn't pre-order day one, we didn't get it. In fact, that's how I lost out on the Vault 76 Collector's Edition. I had to buy from Actually, I think I missed out in store, but I got through GameStop online. And then my other one came from, I think, Walmart. I lost out on Fallout 4's Pip-Boy edition. I had to get that through, I think, Best Buy or Amazon because GameStop was just completely sold out. So yeah, there was never, the only real way that an employee got a chance to have a secret stash was if it had come in by trade, because then that way, like, you were the one processing it and doing it and so forth. If it was an actual like new release game, that never happened. Like, we had a pre-order just like everyone else. Every so often you'd get lucky where a collector's edition would be so pre-ordered that we'd get extra walk-in copies, and then you would just let those sit up in the top rafters in the front and just wait for the price to keep dropping, and then snag it for a good price. But yeah, it really was only on trade-ins where you got like really lucky on stuff. All right, guys. Matt's video link is right there, so check it out once we're done with the stream. It's fantastic, like I said. Rolf Friend, you guys ever have any code for stolen products? At my GameStop, we used these probably fell off a truck while processing the trade. Well, fell off the truck is like almost universally known for stolen product. I don't think we ever had, like, Matt, I don't think we ever had a code for stolen stuff. We did have a joke for drug trade-in games, meaning people who smoked marijuana and didn't realize they smelled of marijuana and that their stuff smelled of marijuana. Every time one of these would come in and they would trade in a game and finish up and leave, I'd always turn to a coworker and just go, "Man, I could go for some Doritos right now. I need me some snacks. I don't know why. Just need my snacks." The only real codes we ever came up with was for when the how would you say this? It wasn't for the active shooters. Oh no, it was it active shooters or was it Rob? There was a situation going on where like there were a lot, I think it was robberies in the, not so much in GameStop, but like in the area of our GameStops. There at one point there were a ton of robberies. Like there was a T-Mobile next door to us at Tinley, and one of the poor girls actually got like hit upside the head with the butt of a gun as the guys were stealing all the phones and so forth. But we had a code word for something, and I don't know I don't know if they were being held up or something like that. But basically, the code word was over the phone was, could you look up Madden 2001 for whatever system it was? And if we heard Madden 2001 with that particular system, we knew to pick up our cell phone and call 911 to get them over to the other store. But yeah, as far as like, yeah, I mean, me and especially at my final quote unquote resting place in the outside Orland GameStop, me and my then manager, like we were both old war horses. Like we were the old dogs that didn't give a crap. Like if we knew it was stolen stuff, we were just like, dude, you know, whatever. Just all right, let's process this. Let's make the cases for all these great condition disc only games. But yeah, that was about it. Let's see here. Matt, there it is. Thanks for letting me post it. Of course, dude. I always pimp the good stuff. You know, it was really well done. Rolf, I'm still waiting for my GameCube version of StarCraft Ghost 1. Oh, I hope Matt didn't see that. StarCraft Ghost is a touchy subject with Matt. Oh, that was, yeah. Oh, yeah, that was bad times. Bad times. You know what? I'm actually surprised that they haven't gone back to that. Like, I think especially now in like with all the multiplayer stuff, even if you didn't want it to be multiplayer, I think StarCraft Ghost could finally work in, especially with like the VR stuff going on. Like, have her in like an almost Splinter Cell like type game. I think it would work really well. Kabia, I could write a small novel of all the theft damage done among other stuff at my work. I can imagine. Becky's little brother is actually works in a body shop, helping refurbish and restore like vintage cars and old cars and stuff like that. And he's shared stories that just boggles my mind. All right. That does with that. Matt actually had a question on social media before he left. Anytime you spoke 100% candidly to a customer that was impossible to deal with, that would be the Battletoads kids and the Call of Duty guys. Way back in the day, there was this internet joke where it was just super cool and super funny to call game stores asking for Battletoads for Nintendo, because there was a 50-50 chance the person on the other end of the phone was born way after Battletoads had ever been seen or come out, and they wouldn't know what you're talking about. And if they didn't know, that's where the running joke came in. Well, being an old fart, and having played all the Battletoads, including the arcade one, I had gotten so sick of these phone calls that I actually went to eBay, and for, at the time, I think it was like $15, I bought a boxed complete copy of Battletoads, brought it into my GameStop at Tinley, and put it right on the new game release rack behind the counter with a little sign that said "Not for sale, display only." And I sat there and I waited and I waited and I waited, and that phone call finally came through. And they was like, "Yeah, man, you guys got Battletoads?" And I was like, "Yep, yeah, we do. It's not for sale, but we have it on display here." And they were like, "No, you don't." I'm like, "Yes, I do. I've never been more serious in my life." And they hung up. No goodbye, no nothing. About 10 minutes pass, and the door slams open to the store, and these two kids come running in, just out of breath, running. They're like, you claim you have Battletoads? And I went, "Yep, it's right here." And I, showed them. They're like, it was like they had found the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow, or found out that unicorns are real. Like, these kids were so flabbergasted that it was an actual real game, and that someone actually had it and knew what they were talking about. It was so funny. In fact, actually, now that I'm looking up, I decided to shadow box my entire life of working corporate retail. So it is my assistant manager tag, the good old plush, and this is the actual Battletoads boxed copy that I bought and tortured those poor kids with. I had this thing sitting on that shelf for probably a good 2.5, 3 weeks, until our district manager came in and was like, "That's funny, take it down." But I had so much fun with those guys. There was also the bros. Call of Duty teenagers are probably the worst and most impossible customer to deal with, just because of the attitude and the ego and the prestige stuff. It was so bad when, I think, was it Modern Warfare 2 that had the goggles as the as the collector's edition? We had like these two kids that literally just paid like $100 and some odd for the goggle things, tore open the box, threw the shreds like to the winds inside the store, slapped the goggles on, and just ran out of the store going, "Yeah, we're cool, we're fucking cool, blah blah blah." And I was like, "Dude, you just ruined everything. Like, you ruined it. Like, what's the point?" But the story I've shared before, that my favorite is, as far as dealing with a customer that's impossible to deal with, is I had, I don't play Call of Duty. I mean, I played Modern Warfare 1 through 3 just for the storyline. But back when doing the whole prestige thing over and over again was the cool, hip thing to do, these three bros came in. And the one bro looked at me and was like, "Hey, man, you play Call of Duty?" I'm like, "Yeah, the story. I don't really care for multiplayer." He goes, "Hey, man, for $60, I can make you full level prestige, whatever the number is. I think 10 or 11 times, blah, blah, blah." And I looked right at him and I just went, "Why would I pay you real money for a fictitious rank that's going to disappear when they turn the server off?" And I asked that question, not realizing how blunt I was. His face went blank, and his two friends just barreled over in laughter. Like, they started mocking him. They stopped mocking me. They started mocking him because of how I had apparently shut him down with his offer to give me, like, level 10 prestige or whatever. And I was like, I don't care about that. Oh, it's ridiculous. We got here. Megatech. Nah, Blizzard is probably too busy with full retail priced GAS to give us a single player experience. Oh, games as a service. I was like, gas problems? Rolf, I finally got fired when I told the customer to go to hell. G-rated for sake of chat when he claimed I didn't know anything about gaming because I am a hardcore Sega nerd. Worth it. if you're a hardcore Sega nerd, you are like cornerstone royalty of the gaming nerddom. Like arcade games, Master System, like like that's like day one type stuff. Blossom Birth. The sad thing is people will actually pay for that. Yes, they will. It's absolutely insane. Kabia, Modern Warfare 1, 2, and 3, Black Ops 1, 2, World War 2, 3rd, and the 2nd and 3rd are still my favorites. Isn't that all of them? I actually still have, I think I got Call of Duty for PSP as a free download from something I still never played. Oh, my poor PSP and Vita, they might as well just be 6 feet under. Like, they're never getting played again. Yeah, you know what? I never got fired from any job, but I knew when my time was up at retail. When I was back at Game Shark, and they were closing their doors because yay, nepotism and other things. When I first started working at EB Games, it was supposed to be temporary. I was supposed to go back to school, finish up my degree, blah, blah, blah. Eventually, that became a 3 to 4 year job, and I was actually offered my own store 3 times, and I was like, no, I don't want that responsibility. Insert my rant about things. And within the last year of my last year with GameStop, I knew it was time to go. It was a morning, and it was me and my coworker working, and it was either my third key or a part-timer at the time. I think he became a third key. And he had made a joke about how there was a customer in the store, I'd helped him, while he was doing his own thing. And my coworker made a joke about how little Power Rewards cards he'd gotten that week. And I just joked with him, and I was like, well, like, get good, do better, blah, blah. Thought nothing of it. Took care of other stuff, went to go back and help the customer. Well, it turned out that the customer was like, I no longer work there, like douchebag corporate central from GameStop. Like, it'd be like manager, district manager, some dude, this dude's president. And he was not happy with how I handled the situation with my coworker concerning the Pop Rewards thing. And I proceeded to just basically get shootout. Like, I got shootout ridiculously. Now, the problem with that situation is that I not only got shootout, it went to my boss who got shootout. It went to my district manager who got shootout. And all of this was because I wasn't, dead serious about him not getting enough Power Rewards cards. And it was at that moment that it was that moment of when, like, literally cracking a joke can't happen, and a corporate dude doesn't understand the difference of it's fucking Monday morning, no one gives a crap. Like, I knew right then and there that I was done with retail and corporate everything. Like, it was so bad. And I didn't burn any bridges. I eventually got my new job, and I gave my 2 weeks and so forth. And to this day, I still have some of the few of my former coworker friends who are still there. I still get them asking if I want to, come back for just some, like, a Christmas, 3-hour shift a week. And I would never ever do it because I can no longer, I couldn't work for people that don't understand the atmosphere you need for the product you sell in a store. And ever since I left 4 years, 3 or 4 years ago, give or take, I think it's like 3 or 4 years now. I've never had any animosity towards GameStop because they took care of me. Like, I should have been let go from a paycheck standpoint years back before I quit. But they always took care of me, and I took care of them, and I took care of the customers, and everything was cool, blah, blah, blah. But these last few months with GameStop, between the trial of the no more used game discount, here's your $5 coupon, and the CFO leaving and some other stuff. Like, it is unfortunately clear that whoever is in left of that company, they don't have a clue what they're doing. And while I would never have a YouTube video or an article that's just like, oh man, GameStop's doomed. Look at them, it's doomed. It would be more of just like, not regret, but like sadness that like something that like I have such awesome memories of working with EB Games and my people at GameStop. I had, no matter what store I was at, no matter what state I was in, I always had the most amazing staff to work with. And like, it's going to be sad if GameStop really does end up closing down because, or becoming ThinkGeek stores and, you know, no gaming, because that means it's over. Like, aside from mom and pop shops, there's no mainstream go-to place for your video game stuff, and that's really depressing. So hopefully GameStop can somehow figure out how to sell overpriced ThinkGeek props and, you know, digital card codes, and maybe become some sort of like, you know, esport LAN center or something like that, and just, you know, figure it out, because their days are numbered. And even when I left GameStop for the first year and a half, I was still willingly defending them and like finding, like, you know, exposing points and flaws and so forth in people's arguments of why not. But man, 3 or 4 years out of it, looking back in, I do worry about them. I think GameStop is not long for this world in the next 5 years. Burf. I don't miss corporate district manager visits. Secret shoppers are, yeah. Oh, yeah. All of that's just crap. Megatech, I felt the same way about Software Etc. Oh, there's a name drop. When I left, I was done, but I didn't feel any ill will toward them. Still shop there without regrets. Software Etc. is still around, or I just mean as a GameStop? I thought they were all changed to GameStops. Hybrid, corporate willing to wipe the humanity out of work for the sake of money. Yeah. Megatech, indeed. Everyone is so eager to see GS fail, and yet it would be such a tragedy if it did. Yeah, it would be. See, the problem is, I was laughing when I realized it was the chief financial officer that left. The people that need to go, and I apologize for a second, guys, I feel booger coming on. The people that need to leave GameStop, and I don't know if it's, like, I couldn't tell you if it was like a revolving door, were the people that always set the trade-in and used game prices. Like, I could not tell you, as an actual managerial employee communicating with home office on a daily basis, I have had all cap tirade emails sent to home office. Like, they couldn't figure out why our used game sales were low. And it'd be like, dude, we're charging $19, $18.99 used after your Pro Edge discount for a game that I can walk across the street and buy brand new for $20. It don't matter. Like, no one's going to shop here. And just other stupid, like, my biggest pet peeve, like my biggest pet peeve when it came to pricing stuff is, like, for example, we'd have a copy of, say Batman 1, Batman Arkham Asylum. It got to a point where we couldn't sell the game anymore. Just everyone had it. Like, it was as low as $4 to $5 on the PS3 and the Xbox 360. It was a great game. You could easily sell it to whoever was coming and just buying the system for the first time. But clearly we had a lot of copies. As soon as that sequel came out, they would start jacking the price up on that $5 game we couldn't get rid of, and now it was suddenly a $24.99 game or like a $19.99 game. And that's what truly drove me around the bin, is like, you don't, like, just, they were so eager to capitalize on every dollar that they would just destroy their supply and demand chain to try and get it. It was just really bad. As a GameStop, okay, cool. Kabia, feel the same. Still grabbing Xbox 360 games and variants plus oddball PS4, Xbox One games that I know I can't find. Yeah, exactly. Like, for, like, you know what's funny too is I didn't realize how far gone I was out of the modern day current gen gaming. One of my coworker friends still works at the Orland one, and I stopped by one day just to say hi, but she was taking care of somebody. So I started to walk the store, and I realized there was like at least 30 games on the PlayStation 4 wall that I had never heard of, like, at all. And they'd been out for like a year and a half, 2 years, somewhere new releases. And I like that's when you know you're finally free of the retail era because you don't recognize any of the product anymore. That was one of the best feelings ever. I will admit though freely that like if someone in the store has a question and they don't know it, if I'm there, the employees will actually ask me to help the customer, me being a customer, just because they know I know what I'm talking about, which is pretty funny. Rolf, especially considering the fact that while rare, some games are 2 to 3 times cheaper at GameStop and Amazon. Yes. Yeah, a lot of people didn't catch on that. Like for all the like, and myself included, for all the bitching about some prices, like GameStop rarely did the eBay thing unless it was a game they knew they could get for it, like with a lot of the retro stuff. The most famous, I think the most famous game, at least in my time, was the EB Games. When EB Games, when Dragon Ball GT for PlayStation 1 came out to that very limited release, and like everyone had to have it, and like it was going for crazy amounts of money. I remember we were charging $99 used for it, and then at one point they recalled all the copies from the stores so that they could sell them on EB Games' actual eBay account. And to quote my district manager, they got top buck for all those games. But yeah, they don't really do that anymore. I mean, they'll still try and charge you, like they'll still try and charge you $54.99, just because it's an old PlayStation 1 RPG. But it's definitely not as bad as it could be. It's more the pricing of like just the regular games. Like they still want to try and charge me $24.99 used for Dead or Alive. Was it 5? I think. I'm like, no. Megatech Body. Oh, I'm the Space Hulk guy, by the way. Oh, awesome. So back from the friends here. Oh, no worries. Yeah, I think the trail went cold. I think the biggest misconception is that if GameStop fails, that big box retailers like Amazon will somehow take the gauntlet and run. Oh, no, they won't. I don't know if these people have seen a Best Buy lately. No, that's absolutely true. I'm literally within walking distance, at least with a bottle of water, walking distance of a Best Buy, and I stopped by there the other day, and their gaming section's terrifying. Like, there's like maybe 13 games, maybe 15, like 100 copies each. It's all just like unsold amiibo figures and like leftover strategy guides and stuff like that. And Best Buy was the worst when it came to limited editions because their stupid security tags would just crush the boxes. Oh, that was the worst. Let's see. But big box retailers and Amazon are not a replacement for a dedicated brick and mortar games either. No, to be honest, like if there is a hopeful positive to GameStop eventually closing up shop, and it's a hopeful positive, but it is a long shot positive, and that would be the resurgence of mom and pop video game stores. More than likely, it wouldn't really happen. It'd be more of just like, your garage sales and everyone going to eBay and Amazon. But I to give you guys an idea of how barren the area where I live is as far as games go, in a